Fox Football runs it way back. Kendall Gammon mines the wealth of knowledge of former players. Brought to you by Mid-American Wealth Advisory Group. Let them design the financial plan that is right for you. MidAmericanWealthAdvisory.com. Now, here's Kendall.
Okay, we're back on Fox Football talking with my good friend and former Kansas City Chiefs running back, Ted McKnight. Ted, first and foremost, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Buddy, anytime I get a chance to talk to you, life is good.
Oh, my goodness. I've now got one person that says that. That's fabulous. I appreciate that. All right. Life is always good when the Chiefs win, even if it's just by 1 point. Talk to me about last week's game. I mean, you've got a little history with both teams, actually.
You know, I do. And it was, you know, one of the things I want to say up front, people ask me just that same question. How do you feel when teams that you've played for play against other teams that you played with? And my response is, I don't care who makes a great play. I always applaud a great play because they're seldom seen. Now, I don't necessarily applaud the opposition openly, but I will do it quietly. Now, for the home team, I'm out of control. But it was a tale. It was a tale of two cities. I saw the Chiefs fans that were upset and were screaming and were booing and giving the officials that finger that tells them that they're their number one fan. And then the Raiders on the other side were calm. They were drinking their cocktails, eating their popcorn, and life was good. And then at the end of the game, it was an absolute reversal in split seconds, where the Raiders fans were doing the opposite of what they had done earlier, and the Chiefs fans were out of control.
Yeah, it really was bonkers, and I think some of that stemmed, well, from a lot of reasons, but I think some of that stemmed from that call and the in our opinion, most people's opinion, a missed call on the roughing the passer that could have been another game changer, even though the Chiefs ended up winning by one. Talking with Ted McKnight, former Kansas City Chief running back, had some Raiders ties beforehand as well. But Ted, talk to me about the running game for the Chiefs. They had a hard time getting things going, and then lo and behold, Jerick McKinnon comes in and 8 attempts, 53 yards, a long of 30, and he seemed to be a little bit of a shot in the arm for the Chiefs when they needed it, rushing-wise.
I agree completely. You know, he came out of nowhere. Everyone is looking at Hilaire being that steady, and he's a tough runner. I like watching him run. He's low to the ground. He's very tough. He does his job. He gets what he can, and he goes back to the huddle. But I'll tell you, McKinnon just came out of nowhere, and he was just so quick in getting into his behind the blockers and moving downfield. He was really exciting to watch, and it just seemed to be a level of intensity in the air when he got in the game.
Yeah, it really was a lot of fun to watch. I'm curious, take our listeners into the mind of a running back there. When you're back there and you know you're getting the ball, generally, what are you looking for? Are you trying to find the Mike backer and see what's being accounted for by the offensive line? What goes through your head?
First of all, you want to make sure that you're looking at the point of attack. That's the key, because anybody given the ball will just take off and run anywhere. But the plays are designed, as you know as well as I do, they're designed for a specific location. So you always want to look at the point of attack, and you want to go to the point of attack. If you're able to squeeze through, well, that's the objective. If everybody is on their block, that's the objective. You're going to maybe get a yard or two or maybe more. But then after the point of attack, and you see that it's collapsed, there's this instinctive thing about running backs that their peripheral vision kicks in, and it's not something that you can teach. You either got it or you don't. And all of a sudden, you can see where there's another opportunity to get yards. And it could be where the linebacker and the defensive line is crashing down to the right, and you automatically have this availability of either skirting around it or going back left. And again, it's not something that can be taught. So again, the point of attack is always the most important. And then what you want to do is make sure that going into the hole, you're holding onto the ball. These guys are stripping the ball like nobody's business. And so you want to make certain that you have got a good hold on to the ball. And because, again, you get 15, 20, 30 yards, and then you lose the ball. What good does it do?
You know, that's a great point. Again, talking with Ted McKnight, former running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. Ted, you brought something up that just reminded me of something. You talked about the peripheral vision, and again, it can't be taught. You're born with it. So in my checkup each year with my doctor, who was the Chiefs doc as well, and I still stay with him, and he dealt with some other people, we were talking about peripheral vision one time, and he mentioned the fact that Dante Hall, who was a prolific returner and did some crazy things on the field for the Chiefs during my time, that the peripheral vision that he had, that they had tested for, they said was off the charts, that they were just amazed at what he could see and how far from one side to the other, which I think, to your point, helps explains why he made so many different things and seemed to see things coming out of the blue when you would think he couldn't see them. Yeah,
because again, your vision in most cases should be from basically in your helmet, your ear hole to the ear hole. That's pretty much the vision that you have. But somehow there's just this instinctive thing that if you're a running back or if you're a kick returner, you just have this feeling, kind of that Spider-Man tingly feeling that someone is coming at you, and you just have this innate ability to avoid that and get around it. And you're right. I remember you coming on the team at the time when Dante took that punt return and ran backwards and sideways. And, I mean, things that coaches would rip their hair out and throw it on the ground. But here you just got to say, okay, let's see what this guy can do. And he made one of the most spectacular runs in the entire history of the game. And I think, too, I don't think size has anything to do with it, because Franco Harris was another guy that had that ability. And any guy that I've known that I've played ball with has had that ability. And if he has the speed, he has the availability of getting out of a trap or getting out of a bad situation.
Talking with Ted McKnight, former Chiefs running back. Today's game, Josh Allen, the QB. I'm not actually shifting to the QB position in terms of the pass, but I want to talk about him. I mean, it would seem somebody this big, that can throw the ball as well as he does, yet he's not afraid to tuck it and take it and try to run over people. And he does a nice job. He's a big guy, Ted, but it would seem that that's not the smartest thing for him in the long run. I'm just curious your thoughts.
Well, if that be the case, it's not a smart thing for Patrick Mahomes either. These two are the face of the NFL for a period of time to come, and you don't want them to put themselves in a position if they're going to get hurt. But the thing that you have to know, and you as well as I know this, an athlete is an athlete is an athlete, and you're going to take that athletic ability, and you're going to do what you can to help the team win. Now, there are smart plays that one can make, and then there are plays that can get you hurt. And speaking of that, I know that there's this big thing about everybody jumping up and down and screaming how the officials screwed some plays over where the quarterback got hit. They called it a roughing the passer. I understand that they're trying to protect the guys, and I know it's a delicate balance that they've got to perform. And so you've got to give them the credit for recognizing that their job is to help protect these guys, because, again, you're paying these guys a ton of dough. The last place you want them is on the sideline.
Yeah, I haven't checked the exact figures of the contracts for those two guys and myself, but I'm pretty certain theirs has a couple extra commas in it as opposed to mine. So
a great deal more than mine. There's for certain about that.
Absolutely. Okay, today's game, the Bills. Do you have some type of prediction you want to give us before we let you go?
Well, you know what? I know the Bills are thinking about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to avoid the game coming down to the last 15 seconds. And so I would imagine that they're going to try to get on the board fairly quickly. But the prediction is I'm going to go with the fact that you always got to give home team at least 3 points. So I'm seeing that this could potentially be a high-scoring game. I think it potentially could be in the 30s, and I don't have a significant number as far as what that is. So maybe the Chiefs win by a touchdown, 30 to 22 or 25, somewhere in there.
Okay, right there. We will take that either way. As always, Ted, we appreciate you joining us. He is Ted McKnight, former Chiefs great running back. Ted, thanks so much. Appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure, buddy. Look forward to seeing you soon.